Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise the mighty God. Yahweh, we thank you today for this day, the Yom Shabbat. Today we come before you and asking for your mercy. We're asking for your compassion. We're asking for you to forgive our transgressions that we have committed against you and you only, Yahweh. We're asking that you would teach us your ways. We're asking, Yahweh, for you to open up our eyes and open up our ears so we can see and to hear the wonderful things that will be found in your Torah. Yahweh, we're asking for your correction. We're asking for the discipline that we need, Yahweh, so we can be pleasing unto you. We give you praise today, Yahweh, for who you are and what you have done for our ancestors, Yahweh. We thank you that you delivered our ancestors from the land of Mizraim. We thank you today for the covenant that you have given to the children of Israel through our fathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Yahweh, we look forward to you redeeming your people from the lands of our enemies. Yahweh, we look forward to walking before you. We look forward to praising you. We look forward to giving you all that we have, Yahweh. We look forward to walking in your presence, Yahweh, and to be the set apart people that you've called us to be. Yahweh, we thank you today. And we ask that you would continue to teach us how to be better people for you. Hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah. All right. Shabbat shalom to everyone. Welcome to your teaching today. Hallelujah. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen with you. Let's see here. All righty. All right, so what we have here, everyone, is this idea of, in Hebrew, called matoth. And matoth means tribes. It's interesting that the Most High, after dealing with Pinchas and dealing with the situation with Baal Peor and the negativity and all the people that had just lost their lives, the Most High is speaking to all the tribes. And he's given a word to Moshe to deliver to them. And it's not to just the leaders of the tribes. He doesn't specify that, but we know that when Israel is to receive any information from the Most High, they are supposed to receive it through their heads of the tribes, the Rashaim, the leaders that have been chosen to be I would say the conduit or the connection between Moshe and the people, which thus is between Moshe and the Most High, you see. So the information is going from the Most High, is going over to Moshe, and is being disseminated among the elders and the leaders of those tribes. And so the tribes have a responsibility to convey this message. And so today we're going to share that with you. The message that we all have to know and understand as a people and as a species is that the Most High is concerned about how we speak. He's really concerned about how we speak. You can find this passage right here out of the writings in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter number 5, where it gives us a command that you and I should never speak impulsively. And there's a lot of examples where there are people who are speaking impulsively, like Moshe. A few weeks ago, he spoke impulsively. He spoke without thinking. And as a result of that, it cost him his journey to go into the land. He lost the ability to achieve the end result, which was to go to the land. We see that a lot of people have spoken impulsively, speaking out of their emotions, speaking without thinking, never considering. You know, this whole time in the wilderness, the children of Israel are masters at being complainers. They're masters at, holding on to things. They're masters at this. And they did a lot of talking. And so we're told not to speak impulsively. So that means that you and I have to think about what we're saying before we say anything. We don't need to be in a hurry to give voice to your words before the Elohim. Some translation says before Elohim, but it's the Elohim. There's a definite article which is pointing to our master, our power. This was kind of shocking to me because, we're told that we should pray. And we're told that we can bring things to him. But I'm of the mind, because these words are found in Ecclesiastes from the king of Shalomo, which is a wise man. And he's telling us that, listen, you want to be very careful before you give your voice to words before the Elohim. Right? So don't be in a hurry and don't speak impulsively. So you got to think and you got to calm down, because everything that you and I say is literally being registered. Is actually being registered. The words in which we have spoken is going to be held against you. So you want to make sure that before you go speak anything, you want to think about what you say. There's different things that are part of our lives. There's circumstances and situations where we really shouldn't bring certain things before the Most High. There's certain things that you and I should not bring for the Most High. The things that you and I have control over and that are, germane to our experience here on the earth, some things are not necessary to bring to the Most High. I'm finding this out. You have issues that are germane to you and the people around you. You shouldn't always bring those things before the Most High. The Most High is not our friend. He's not. He's a king. He's the king of the universe, and he demands respect. And this is the reason why it says that Elohim is in heaven. He's in heaven. You are on the earth. So the conversations that we have with other people that are on the earth should not be brought before the Most High. They shouldn't. So he says, let your words be few. Those few words right there, I would say they have to be meaningful. They have to be heartfelt, like it was for Kanah when she went before the Most High and she was hurt. And so she went and prayed and she made a vow before him. And she said she poured her heart out to him. And I say it would have to be things like that. I don't think it should just be conversations that we're just having, just talking and talking and talking and running on off the mouth. We learn that in Christianity, where it told us that we can come boldly before the throne and we can say whatever we want to. Now we have access to our Creator. And so now and this is the danger, people are just talking and talking before this king, before this Elohim, this mighty one. He's the mighty one. When he talks about Elohim, he's the power of powers. There's nothing but power inside of Elohim. So Elohim here is not plural. It's talking about he's the power of powers. He's the one who has made the heavens and the universes and the galaxies and the stars. Why should he listen to you and I and the things that we talk about? Why should he be concerned about those mundane things that we have going in our lives? Why are we talking to him about things that are going on within our home? Our relationships are our responsibility. Our children are our children. That's for you to work out. That's not for y'all to work out. That's for you to work out. Your husband is your husband. That's your relationship. You work it out. Your job is your job. The people there, if you're managing them, that's your employees. We should not bring things before Yah that we're supposed to have control over. We're not powerless. And this is exactly what he's talking about. So we need to be careful before we start talking. We need to start thinking, because literally our words are an offering. Oh, praise be to the mighty Yah. Everything we say, just like when they were to bring the offerings before the Most High, they had to examine the offerings. They had to make sure that there was no defect in it. You see? No wounds, no sickness, no illness. We have to check our words. We have to make sure they have nothing in them because we're presenting and we're drawing near to Yah. In your Torah portion, Yahweh said something. Here is what Yahweh has commanded. He's ordered this. When a man makes a vow to Yahweh or formally obligates himself by swearing an oath, he is not to break his word, but is to do everything he said he would do. This is very, very powerful because the children of Israel now are about to go into the land that Yah has promised them. If they're saying things to him, they're going to have to keep their word. Keeping their word didn't start at this part of the Torah. It started when the Most High introduced himself to them. They said literally 4 times, everyone, that everything he said we will do. This is the theme. This is the reason why the Most High is holding us responsible for our words. We're going to be held accountable for things that we say. That's why we need to be careful. But if you will not do this, and this is talking about in your Torah portion where the sons of Reuven and the sons of Gadi or Gad, the tribes, they wanted a land. They wanted a place where they can put their livestock, and they made all these suggestions and proposals to the Most High, or more specifically to Moshe, asking him if they would have permission to do the things that they wanted to do. And he got upset with them because he thought they were trying to discourage the people. And the discouragement comes by the things that are spoken. Sometimes things can be misinterpreted, okay? Meaning, like, sometimes you may think you're saying something that's encouraging because you're thinking about yourself, but often too, some of the words that you say can be discouraging to others. We need to watch what we say, and we need to watch what comes out of our mouths, because that's what Moshe was concerned with. He said, are you not like your fathers, that you've come now and said that you're not going into the land? You want to stay and do this? You're more focused on what you're talking about when it needs to be a group thing. He's talking about the tribes. If you and I really have any care and concern for the tribes of Israel, the families in which you don't even know what tribe you belong to, you want to start today in thinking about how and what am I saying that can affect the people around me. This is not a selfish deal. This is part of a family. This is part of a clan. This is a part of a legacy. We have to be careful on how we conduct our lives. So what we can pick up from this, what the Most High has laid down, is like, listen, but if you will not do this, what? Do what they propose, then you sinned against Yahweh. You sinned against him. With what? With your words and your actions. You must understand that your sin will find you out. It will seek you out, and it will hold you responsible for what you've said. So he gives them command, build the cities for your little ones and enclosures for your sheep. Then do what you said that you would do. That's the key. Do what you said you will do. If you and I are telling Yah and speaking to him and thanking him for introducing himself to us and revealing his plan to us and revealing his Torah, his judgments, his kukim, his diet, his clothing, and everything, we must do what Yahweh says. We must do what we said we're going to do. This is a relationship. There's no way that people can be a relationship in making promises and making oaths, and they're not going to fulfill them. You have to fulfill what you said you're going to do. We make covenants with one another. We make agreements with the Most High. When we make a covenant, he says, if you swear by my name, make sure that you do it wholeheartedly. Otherwise, it's a sin against the Most High. If you're in a marriage, listen to me carefully. You have a ketubah, or what they call the ketubah. It's a writing, it's an instrument that tells you what exactly is outlined and what you said you're going to do. It's a promise. So what we understand is when the Most High was talking to us, he wrote down for us a promise that I'm going to be your Elohim. The whole world is mine. I'll give it to you. It's my nakalai. It's my inheritance. I give it to you. And he asked us to listen to what he is saying and to obey what he has said and to guard what he has said. That is the Ketuvah or the Ketubah. That is the writings. That is what the expectations are. And they said, as he said, we will do. We will do everything he said we will do. He put the contract on the table. He put the proposal on the table. And they understood it. Moshe wrote it out for them, and he said, this is what the Most High said. He laid it out. He stretched it out before them. And they agreed. So Yah is using our words, which is your number one currency. You think that your money's your currency? No, it's not. It's your word. You're not going to be held responsible for how much money you have. You're going to be held responsible, okay, for the words that came out your mouth. The descendants of God and the descendants of Reuben said to Moshe, your servants will do as the master orders, as there's a command. You know, often I go on to, TikTok now. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I teach at all these different places. And the number one thing that people don't get is what the Most High said. They don't get that they have to be responsible for their words. They're just running their mouth over and over and over again, and they're not listening. Our words is our currency. It's used more than anything else. That's why social media and technology is so huge, because you have an opportunity to communicate. The Most High has given that to us as a power. That is our power. Your words are your power. If they weren't, then why are you being held responsible for them? Why are you having to give an account? There's an accounting on your words. We find in one of our prophets, Hosea, chapter number 14, more specifically, that tells us that it's an actual command to Israel to return. That means to shuv and turn your direction back to Yahweh, your Elohim. For your guilt has made you stumble. Take words with you and return to Yahweh and say to him, forgive all guilt and accept what is good, and we will pay instead of bulls the offerings of our lips. Because your words are an offering. People ask, well, how is your sin forgiven? How do you get back to the Most High? Do you have to give an offering of a bull or a goat? No, those were the things that were given to the children of Israel to teach them what they needed to do. They need to examine what they were given to the Most High. They needed to know that they were wholehearted. The animal had to be tamim and had to be perfect. You're going to have to get your words straight. You're going to have to straighten those words out. If they're crooked, make them straight. Therefore, before we start talking, examine. Write it down on a piece of paper before you start talking to Yah. Write it down. Read it and ask yourself, is this worthy of bringing it to Yah? How many times does he have to hear from us the same old, and nothing's changed, and you wonder why it hasn't changed? Because it's not something that the king is going to listen to. This idea of payment here means to shalom. It's not shalom. It's to bring it to its end. It's to finally say, I want to make things right. I want to be complete. Our thoughts should be complete. You should not be rambling off of all these thoughts before the Most High. We need to get ourselves together before we approach the King. Our words are binding. They're binding. They will lock you down. They're like a yoke that's being placed on the neck of a person. Do you know it's better not to vow than to make a vow and not discharge it? That discharge, again, is to shalom. That is to complete it. It's better not even open your mouth to say anything before Yah if you're not willing to pay it. If you're not willing, and listen, not just to Yah, it's, often we want to spiritualize everything. When we don't understand that the way that we treat each other That's the Most High counts that and says, that's how you're treating me. Because remember, we read in Numbers chapter number 5, you can read it for yourself. That anybody who's been unfaithful, a man or a woman to one another in any kind of way, they have broken faith with Yah. We're not like every other people on this earth where you get to say what you want to say and you feel like you're not going to be held responsible for it. We're a different type of people. We are from a noble line. We are from the lines of kings and princes and queens and princesses. Therefore, our manner of life and conduct have to match exactly what it is that we are. It's in our blood. Therefore, you and I don't get a chance to say stuff and don't feel like you're not going to be held responsible because Yah has documented it and you're his people and he's going to hold you responsible. Don't let your words make you guilty. Guilty? You can be guilty for your words. Yes. You said something you weren't thinking, and you said it. You made a promise, and you thought ain't nobody go call you on it. Don't tell the temple official that you made a vow by mistake. You told somebody you were going to do something, you didn't do it. Well, I didn't say it to a temple official, so it don't count. No, you are one of these people that belong to the Most High. You're from this family of nobility. Therefore, you and I are going to have to do what we say we're going to do. Why give Elohim the reason or the reason to be angry at what you say and to destroy what you've accomplished? The guilt will cause you to be destroyed based on what you have said because you weren't willing to pay it. You weren't willing to make shalom. You weren't willing to go through and make sure that you completed it. Therefore, you said something that you weren't willing to do. So what we find here is when we say something, we got to do something. I love you. Oh, yeah? Do it. Prove it. I respect you. Oh, yeah? Show it to me. Prove it. You understand? That's how this works. It doesn't work like this for everybody else. It works for us. There are no mistakes. The Hebrew word for binding comes from this word called asar. It's very important because I said the words are binding, but I have to prove it to you. Called asar, okay? It's made of 3 letters. We know that's the child root. Let's go through it right quickly. It means to bind. It means to tie something on something. You know, it's to bind it, just to put something strong on it. Okay. Where's the strength at? The strength is found in what letter? Somebody tell me. Where is strength in these 3 letters?
Aleph.
It's an aleph. And an aleph is what type of animal?
Ox.
It's an ox. So what this has to do is with an ox. And when you're tying something, you have to, and you're tying something so strong, you're going to tie something on an ox, you're going to have to tie it real tight to bind it to the ox. More than likely, what you're going to bind to that ox is a yoke. The same word that's used for tying a yoke to an oxen is the same word that's used for a prisoner with the yoke. Your words bind you. They put you in a prison. Oh, praise be to the mighty Yah. It detains you. Your words are either can withhold you and restrain you, or they can set you free. You say something, you're locked in. After you finish getting locked in, the only way to get out of it is to do something. You're put in prison with your words. Now, do you understand why we should be careful not to say anything before the Most High? You're locking yourself into a prison, a situation. And the only way we can get out of it is by our words that we are able to do. If you said your words got to match your actions, that's what he's saying. I love you. Well, how are you going to do that? You said that? Yeah. Well, what does that mean? Love in Hebrew means I'm looking towards the house. I'm always thinking about the home. I'm always thinking about everybody that's dwelling in that house. Always. Everything that I'm about is about the good for that family, to everyone who dwells in that house. You see? We have to be careful. And what are we binding? That would be the next question. Because I said we're binding ourselves, but what am I talking about? Well, according to the Hebrew, it says the laosor isar, the all nafsho. Your nafsho, as we've always talked about, is your nefesh, which is your soul. Your soul in English. Your soul is your nefesh. That's what you're binding. Okay? So you think you're free because physically you're not locked into prison. But your soul has been bound. She has taken upon herself a yoke that's been put on her. The yoke that's put on her is for her to do the work that she says she's going to do. Because you and I are the ox that has the yoke of binding on us. And the moment that we bind ourselves to it, we are going to have to do the work like an ox. And the way that we do our work is walking straight to make sure that what we said lines up to what we said. We have a destination. Here's an ox right here. Ox decides it's time for a yoke. It's time to do work. I got to go across to my destination. The work is going. Forgive my line. I don't have my pen with me. It's straight to this destination. Once I get here, my work is complete. You see? Then the yoke is taken off of the neck of the oxen. And the oxen is then free from what the work is. So our words are the work that we have to do. You have to do this. They say talk is cheap, it's nothing. In your Torah, you found out when a woman makes a vow to Yahweh. Now, we talked about the man. Now we're talking about the woman. So both men and women can make vows to the Most High. Women, this is the standard. We have a woman who did not make a vow to the Most High with her husband's knowledge, and she was still bound by it. That's Cana in 1 Samuel chapter number 2. But here in the Torah that was given to the tribes, making known to both men and women and daughters and children and sons, when a woman makes a vow to Yahweh, formally obligating herself while she is a youth, living in her father's house, then when her father has heard what she vowed or obligated herself to do, and holds his peace, then all her vows remain binding. On what? On her soul. Every obligation she's bound herself to will stand. It will yakum is going to stand. It's going to be established. Okay, so he hears it. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't hold his peace, meaning he doesn't try to stop her from doing this vow. He wants the vow means to do a work. He heard it and it was acceptable to him that the work that she said that she was willing to do, he accepted and said, I like that. I liked it. He didn't say anything. It is stand. But on the day her father hears it and he expresses his disapproval of what? The work. Because the vows is your work. If she says she wanted to do something and her father looked at it, he disapproved of the work. What type of disapproval? I didn't like it. I think it would be too hard for her. It's not, he's just not accepting it. He's not frustrating this or not trying to stop this work from happening because he just doesn't want her to do any work. It's the type of work that she said that she wanted to do. And he heard it and he said, no, I don't think you should do that. Why? Because he's concerned that if she says something that she's supposed to do and she can't fulfill it, then it's going to be a sin against the Most High. And we're going to find out that this man is going to be responsible for whatever his daughter said. If he approved it and it doesn't happen, he's responsible. He's going to bear the awon. He's going to bear the consequences and bear the punishment that comes from sinning against the Most High, because he heard what she said, and he gave his approval. So actually, when she gives the vow, he has until the sun goes down to approve it. This vow has to be made not at night. It's another work that has to be done during the day. Not this vow. He has a night. Okay, they're asleep at night. There's nobody talking and making no vows at night. It's during the day. It's in the light that she said this before the Most High. Interesting enough, when she's talking, her father's listening. If you're a father and your child is talking, you need to be listening. This is one of the responsibilities of a father in a home. It ain't just to instruct people. It's to be listening and pay attention to safeguard the house. Why would you let your daughter do something that's going to damage her? But see, today, these people, these parents, these fathers, these so-called fathers and these so-called families and these so-called children and these daughters today are running their mouths and they're speaking before the Most High, and ain't nobody making no disapproval. Ain't nobody giving approval or disapproval. They don't even care that they're going to bear the consequences. Now, do you see the purpose of the Torah is light to show us what we need to do and what we need not to do. Now, it's interesting that the vow, the words, the work is for Yah. It ain't for her. It ain't for her father. He's not concerned about the vows that are made to him in this sense. It's about what's going on with Yah. You see? And on the back end of this, there's a lot of people today that are not even making vows to the Most High. They won't even make a vow to say, I want to study the Torah. They don't even make a simple vow like that. There's daughters in homes right now that are not even making no vows to the Most High. Right now. That's what's going on with our people. And if they are and they're not keeping it, they're sinning against the Most High. And they think that they're going to get away with it, and it's not going to be the case. The father is there to protect the daughter from doing the work that she said she was going to do if she doesn't have the ability to do it. Then none of her vows or obligations that she bound herself will stand, for Yahweh will forgive her. If her father heard it and he gives his disapproval, he expresses it. So he had to be listening. So it's not wise for a daughter to make a vow before the Most High without her father to hear it. She would want to say this in front of her father. Why? Yah's going to forgive her. He's going to pardon her. He's going to let her free. She won't be bound by it, like we talked about with the Asar, with the ox who's bound with the yoke. The yoke is heavy, people. You see? If having made vows or rashly committed herself to an obligation, she gets married. Now this is the situation now where this woman, this daughter, she's getting married. That's what daughters are supposed to do. They're supposed to get married. They're supposed to leave their father's house and go to a man. They're not supposed to go to the boyfriend. They're not supposed to be laying up with nobody nowhere in a hotel nowhere. They're supposed to be moving from their father to their husband. That's the way that Yah has outlined for his children. The nobility of Yisrael. She's going to get married. And her husband hears. Hears what? He just heard something that she bound herself to while she was in her father's house. The husband now can say, no, I heard it, but guess what? I hold my peace. Yeah, that's good. So what is it? She's transferring from out of one home to another home. And she's transferring from one authority to another authority. She's going from her father to her husband. The same rights that the Most High gave to the father is the same rights he gives to the husband. If you heard something that your wife has said and she made a vow to it and she was under her father, maybe her father approved it, but she's no longer underneath his authority. She's under my authority now. I say no. Why? Because I see it differently. I heard about it. I thought about it. I considered it. And he only has the time of the day to think about it. When he learns of it, when he learns what? Of the vow that she's made. When he hears of it and he learns of it. So when they get married, you have to ask, hey, did you make any vows? You're about to make some vows to me, but are there any vows that you've made to Yah? That's part of the consideration. Yes, I did. I made a vow to the Most High that I was going to do this. Then he has to think, well, do I want that to be? Do I see our family? Because it could be a burden on the family in some instance. Maybe she vowed herself to be taken away for 6 months out of the household to do X, Y, and Z. You don't know what she said. Whatever the vow is, the Most High is not being specific. Like, This is the only vows you can make. You can say anything before the Most High. And he says, now that you made that promise to me, you got to keep it. But her husband has the right to go in and say, you know what? I heard this. And I heard of these obligations. I heard about this burden that you're going to put on yourself. And you know what? I'm not going to share in that. Or yes, I'll share in that with you. So now we see the justice. It's not just about him disapproving. It's about saying, what can we both do? Like, I'm accepting what it is that you have put on yourself. I'm going to share that now with you. If a wife is bearing a burden, or if a daughter is bearing a burden, they're not the only ones who are going to bear it. The husband's going to bear it. The father's going to bear it. Everybody has to bear it because you're part of a family. Just like you and I right now are bearing what our fathers said. Just like the children of Israel walking in the wilderness for 40 years because of what their fathers said. We're going to have to bear the consequences of the stuff that we say and do. But if her husband expresses his disapproval on the day he hears it, and he will void the vow, meaning the words, meaning the actions on which is on her, that yoke and the obligation to which she has bound herself, Yahweh will forgive her. He will set her free out of the prison that she locked herself in with her words. You see? Now, concerning the vow of a widow, somebody whose husband is no longer, he's unalive, or a divorcee, someone who's been sent away by another man, including everything to which she has obligated herself, will stand. When her husband dies, it still does not void out the vow that she made. She still has to do it. So what's the benefit of the husband? Well, guess what? He's the one who approved it. He's the one who disapproved it. If he disapproved it, she has nothing to worry about. If he approved it while he was alive, she's underneath it. The only one who could release her is her husband, but now he's dead, so she can't get out of it. And this is something that has to be considered when she is making a vow. A divorcee, she doesn't, I'm divorced from my husband. No, whatever vow you made while you were with your husband, you're still underneath it. You don't get to get discharged. You might got discharged out of the house, but you don't get discharged from this vow that you made to Yah. See? So it's a lot different, everybody. It's not the same. It's going to stand. It's going to be established. Now, I have here in brackets says, if a woman, it doesn't, in the Hebrew, it doesn't begin with if a woman. It's still talking about the same woman. It's still talking about a widow. It's still talking about a divorcee. If a woman vowed in her husband's house, not a different woman, or obligated herself with an oath, and her husband heard it, but he held his peace with her and did not express disapproval, then all her vows and obligations will stand. Talking about this widow and divorcee. See? So that has to be taken into consideration when making a vow. Because you have to keep your word. If he makes them null and void, talking about this husband or this father, after he has heard them, then he will bear the consequent guilt. Okay, so listen. Talking about the stuff that he did approve, and then all of a sudden he decides, I changed my mind. Right? He tries to change his mind on Yah. Change his mind on the vow that his wife or his daughter made. Now he's changing his mind. Now the husband and the father's like, you know what? Now after thinking about it, I think this is going to be too much. Guess what Yah says? Nope. The guilt that was going to be on her for breaking it is now on you. So now we see justice and we see balance. So the man primarily is the one whom Yah is looking to either approve or disapprove. He is supposed to be the protector to make sure that what's being said is something that can happen. He's looking, he knows that he has the resources. If she says she's going to vow this to the Most High, he has to look at, well, do we have it? You can't say nothing to Yah and you don't have what you said you're going to vow. You're a fool. You understand? You should not open your mouth. So if he's not thinking, then he has proven himself to be worthy of the consequent guilt that was going to happen to her. These are the laws. These are laws, people. These are not suggestions. These are not recommendations. These are the laws. This is the code. This is the regulation in which Yahweh ordered Moshe between a man and his wife, between a father and his daughter, if she's a youth living in her father's house. Because when she's a youth, she's living with him. When she gets out of there, she's married to a man, right? That's how it works. She moves from one house to the next. A lot of people ask me all the time, where are the laws about, hey, how does marriage work? All you hear is about when you get married, don't commit adultery and all these sorts of things. But no one says that this is really talking about a wife and her husband. This is a law for marriage. This is a law for a father and his daughter. These are laws that Yah has outlined for the children of Israel. Something interesting that I found or came to mind when I was studying, it says, as I live, says the Supreme Master Yahweh, I swear that I won't have you consult me in what you have in mind when you say, talking about the children of Israel, they said something. We will be like the Goyim, meaning we're going to be like the heathens. We're going to dress like them. We're going to eat like them. We're going to live like them. We have relationships like them. We're going to marry like them. We're going to actually marry them. Like the families of other countries serving wood and stone will certainly not happen. Yah heard when you and I said this. He heard it when the tribes have decided that this is what they wanted to do. And you know what he said? It's not going to happen. I heard it. So when he says it's not going to happen, he's saying, I'm not going to let this be on you. This is something that you're not going to do. You're not going to bear the burden of these Goyim forever. You're not. You're not going to live like them. You're not going to be like them. You don't want to be what I want you to be, because what I want you to be is righteous. What I want you to be is set apart. What I want you to be is alone, away from these heathens. I don't want you to live in a delusion that somebody died for your sins. I want you to know that you're going to be held responsible and accountable for the things that you say and the things that you do. That's what you're going to do. Still dealing with this word asar, which means to bind. It comes from the root, its parent. The parent of this word, you take this aleph off because this makes it a child root, and we get rid of this. That's one of the letters that tell you that it's a child root. It's one of the 4 children that you can add to any of these 2 letters to get you a child root. So asar comes from the family of Sar. It comes from a shin and a resh. And Sar means to rule. It's a ruler, and a ruler rules. Okay. So, hey, I thought it was the binding. I thought it was the ox. I thought it was, the yoke. It is. Okay. The samak, that's the next letter that you see. So it's the samak. That's the first letter, samach. The samak is the letter that has to do with a thorn bush. It means to turn. It's turning. So to rule means to turn. Okay, so turning. The next letter is that resh for sar, right? We just put that samak right here. And you have sar again. Okay, so sar means to rule. It's a ruler. And the samek means to turn. The resh, as you know, has to do with the head. Right? So when you put those 2 letters together, it means turning plus heads. Okay, so what letter is turning? Is it this letter or is it this letter? Which letter is turning? Is it number two? Which one is it? Number 1 or number 2?
1. No.
What is it?
1.
It's number 1. Number 1 is turn. That means to turn. And you can remember that by the shape of the letter. Turning means to go around. So it's going around, okay? To turn, all right? The next one is the resh, and that is the head, okay? So to be a leader is one to turn the heads. Well, what does this have to do with the oxen? Okay? So the ruler is turning the heads in his direction, okay? Just like you would right here if you were to put an aleph on the front of it, meaning the strong binding, right? So you got the ox again. The ox is the oxen with the yoke. What do you do with the yoke? You use the yoke to turn. Okay, so the ox is the one here that is going to turn, right? The oxen is being turned. And you turn the oxen with the yoke. You're turning the ox in your direction. Which means that that yoke is on there so you can learn. So you turn the ox in the direction it needs to go. So the ox is being turned. So the ox is supposed to go this way, right? The ox wants to go in another direction. Most High said that you're not going to do what you said you're going to do. So they want to go this direction. Most High said, no, I need you to go in this direction. Okay, this is the destination over here. So I need you to get to this mark. So we got to go here. You want to go right here. And that's outside of the way. So whatever this way here is Yah's path. This path right here is a wicked path because it's contrary to the path that Yah has outlined. So what Yah does is he puts a yoke on top of this ox. Okay, the yoke is driven by the one who's behind it. Okay, the leader, the teacher that's guiding it down its path so it can finally make it to its destination. See, so the Most High says that God wants you to be careful because if you're speaking and you have a strong binding on you, you have a strong binding, you have put some strength on you. You're strong. It's a strong binding. Okay, remember, imprisoning yourself with your words. If you do that, it's outside of what I want. So when the father has to make an approval of the words that were spoken by the wife or the daughter, it has to be in alignment, not with him. It's not in alignment with his path. It is in alignment with the course in which Yahweh wants to drive the ox, the leader, to go to the destination. Could this hinder the walk? Could this suppress us? Could this stop us? Could this stop our progress? Maybe the vow that she's made can cause problems in the home because it's not leading towards the direction that Yah wants the family to go. If the man makes a decision, he said he's going to do something, it has to be in alignment with Yah. So the man is not he doesn't have any advantage over the woman. Actually, he has a disadvantage. Because there's nobody to say, no, that's disapproved. We ain't going to do that. His wife can't say, no, we're not going to do that. She can't override what he said. That's what we're not picking up what Yah has put down about marriage. The woman cannot tell her husband, yeah, we're going to do this and we're not going to do that. If he said this is the way we're going, she's supposed, okay. She can advise and consult and say, hey, you may want to think about that before you make that vow. That's why it's important for them to be able to come together and have a discussion. He's not a free willy like everybody thinks he is, where he could just do what he wants to do. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is a wife is there to consult. Hey, before you make any vow to Yah, let's write it out. Like I told you earlier about like writing out what your concerns are before you go to Yah and make sure it makes sense. Put a proposal together. Guess what, honey? This is the proposal that I think that we should go. She can look at it and say, well, what does Yah say? Honey, I don't think this might be something that may not work out for us. And he goes, yeah, but I really think this and this and that. She doesn't get to override it and say, well, I'm not doing it. She can't do that. Now, listen, I'm not talking to the heathen. I'm not talking to heathen wives. I'm not talking to heathen husbands. I'm talking to men and women who are dedicated to following the path in which Yahweh has laid out for us. The way that he said, the ones who want to follow his laws. I'm not talking to people who don't have our Elohim. Within any type of vow or discussion or words or proposal or anything that you're talking about, it is always going to have to do with instruction, discipline, and correction. Anything that you and I are going to be involved in, these are the elements of what we need to pay attention to. This word here, instead of it having an ox on the front of it, It has a hand, a yod. This word is called yasar. Okay. One is called asar. This one is called yasar. Yasar. Okay. Yasar. So what is yasar? Yasar is to instruct, to discipline. Why? For correction. The reason why is not to, it shares the same root, because here's the root. Here's the parents again, meaning to turn the head. Remember, turn the head. Well, you need something to do that, and that's the hand. That's what that yod is there. It's the hand. Okay, the hand is the work. That's what you use your hand for. Use your hand for work, and use your hand to correct, and you need to use your hand to turn the head. Okay, so when you talk about turning, is literal about saying that, guess what? I'm going to instruct, I'm going to discipline. Why? Because we're looking for correction. Okay, we're looking for correct. We need things to be corrected. Corrected what? The path. If the ox is going down this path, okay, and the path is not straight. Okay, it's not away from the path, it's just not straight. If your ox is doing this in your field, what would your harvest look like? You won't even be able to determine or distinguish between the corn. Everything will be mixed up. It actually needs to be made straight. That's what it needs to happen. You need to make it straight. The ox needs to go straight. The path needs to be straight. And remember, it's not our path, it's Yah's path. Okay? So if someone is going this way and it's crooked, Yah says you need discipline. You need to instruct them and through discipline in order to bring about the correction. Okay? Discipline happens in two ways. Okay? Okay? It can happen by you simply talking to them through instruction, or you're going to have to put your hand on them in order to cause them to make the adjustments to correct so they can then start walking straight. If talking to them is not working, you're going to have to take other measures. I'm not saying that you have to beat anybody. I'm saying that you have to discipline them. I could talk to you first. What are the methods of discipline? The methods of discipline for an ox would to take your staff or whatever, your rod, and to prod it and to hit it. But now, since we live in the land that we live in, you can't do that because then you would be considered an abuser. Okay? So what you need to do is find another method. And the method that you and I have to do, you can do discipline in all different types of ways. You can use your hand in all sort of ways. By the work that you do. So you're going to have to work on them now. Now that you don't want to, they don't want to follow the way that you said, you're going to have to put some work in now. Okay? And you have to do this not with your words, because your words didn't work. Words are not working for this in particular ox, for this stubborn cow, for this disobedient child, for this, stubborn, rambunctious employee. Words don't work. So now what we have to do is we're going to have to take action. And that's what discipline is taking action. So the work now is not with your words, is with your actions, is what you do. Okay, so they don't want to hear you talking. They don't want to listen, just like the Most High said, I spoke to you and you would not listen to what I had to say. So what did Yah decide to do? He hasn't changed. I'm taking actions against you. I brought you into the lands of your enemies. I've scattered you to the four corners of the earth. I have diminished your value before the nations. I've caused you to be hungry. I've given you disease. I've done all these different things against you. to see if you're willing to be corrected. You see? So if talking's not working, nobody's listening to anything you have to say, you don't have to go into beast mode. All you need to do is go into action mode now. I'm going to action. I'm not arguing. I'm not fighting. I'm not doing any of that with you. You see? So you have to decide what the course of action is going to be. And guess what? You don't have to bring that to Yah. You do it yourself. It's your problem. It's yours. You're the ruler. You're the person who's in charge. You decide what it is you want to do. Don't bring that before the king of the universe. And whatever happens, happens. Okay? Yashar or Yasar. What did Yah say? What did he say? He said, your own wickedness will correct you. That's Yasar. Well, whatever it is that you've done, it's going to correct you. You're going to reap the benefits of your actions. Your own backsliding will convict you. Backsliding like what? A cow or an ox who decides that they don't want to go forward because the one who's teaching them and leading them is talking to them and they're not paying attention, not listening. They got hard of hearing. You will know and see how bad and bitter it was to abandon Yahweh. Why? Because he's about to take action. Because of your actions. How the dread of me is not in you. You don't dread me. Here it usually says fear, but people take that. They don't understand. When it talks about dread, he says the quaking and the quivering and the shaking of your legs is not in you. Of me, it's not in you. You haven't had that experience with me where your legs are shaking. You would tremble if you knew it was that you're sinning against. If you really knew who it was. If you would understand the dread of Yahweh, you'd be shaking before you say anything before him. You would shake and tremble when you know that I just said something to keep my word to the Most High. You would shake and you would tremble if you knew what it was to abandon the Most High. You would shake and tremble if you knew that, wait a minute, I should keep my mouth shut before I open it before the Most High. The master, the supreme Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh Sabaoth. This right here is a Na'um. He's letting you know that I'm coming in battle formation. This is when a lot of people are going to recognize and come to the understanding that, wait a minute, we're not going to get away with sinning against the Most High. We're not going to get away with making vows that we didn't keep. We're not going to get away with disrespecting our parents. We're not going to get away with adultery. We're not going to get away with stealing. We're not going to get away with eating that which is not prescribed in the Torah. We're not going to get away with it. You're going to shake and you're going to tremble before the Most High. You see? That's what he's telling us, because I'm going to correct you. For a long time, long ago, I broke your yoke. When I snapped your chains, you said, I won't sin. I have that here as a mistranslation. Because it is. This is what English does to you. I won't sin. Well, how is that possible when Shlomo said that we all sin? There ain't been a man that has not sinned. And then you get these Christians and other people to read this and say, well, remember, you guys said you won't sin, and then you did. So who is it that can't sin? He ain't talking about sin. The Most High is talking about service. That word right there is lo avod. It's right here on the bottom. The avod right here comes from this word called avad. Aleph, the bet, and the dalet. This right here is in the present tense. Okay? This lo right here means never. What Israel had said to the Most High is that we will never serve anyone else. That's what they said to him. They didn't say, well, we won't sin. That's a lie. This was in your Torah, your Haftarah. This is in the book of Jeremiah, chapter number 2. Read it today. If you didn't read it this week or this last week. But he said, I broke your yoke. See, and we thought that this yoke here was just the yoke of the hard labor. No, he's talking about what you said. When they were in that position there, they were serving other gods. They made all kind of agreements. And Yah said, and he snapped it and he broke what they had said. He broke what they said because he wanted them to say something different. And they said it. We won't serve. S-E-R-V-E. We will not serve. We will not serve other gods. But he said, yet on every hill, every high hill, under every green tree, you sprawled yourself, you prostituted yourself to what? To these gods that you said that you wouldn't serve. You lied. You lied. You said you wouldn't do it, but you did. So it ain't you, I won't sin. No, I won't serve. So they said that. Most High asked the question, why do you argue with me? This is a big one, everyone. This is huge. Why argue with me? You all have all rebelled against me, says Yahweh. That's a known. That's a prophetic declaration. In vain have I struck you down, or down your people. In vain have I struck down your people. They would not receive correction. See? The reason why they won't receive correction, everyone, is because they believe that they're not guilty. After the master has said to the people, I don't like what you're doing. This is wrong. I'm instructing you. I'm here to correct you. I'm here to yasar you. Right? You won't take the musar. Right here. Lo musar. Meaning that they never would take the correction. Correction is right here. Musar. M-U-S-A-R. I'm writing with my finger. Musar. Okay. Musar. So you see the sar again is to turn the head. Okay. This move right here means that I'm moving you. I'm moving you. You would never take the correction. Instead of us taking the correction when we're found that we're wrong, what we like to do is we want to argue with the Most High. We want to argue with our master. We want to argue with the one who's in charge of us. We want to argue with our father. We want to argue with our husband and say, no, I'm not wrong. And the Most High says that in vain, I struck down your people. That me putting my hand on you, because that's how he struck us down. I've done that. This didn't even help. Even after I spoke to you and I tried to correct you, you still wouldn't take it. After I put my hands on you and I destroyed you, you still wouldn't take it. Because that is indicative of a rebel. When someone is not listening to what the master is talking about, he's letting you know that you're a rebel. When you cannot take correction, you are a rebel. You're in a rebel. You're in rebellion against the Most High. When you cannot listen and sit down without having a conversation with the one who is supposed to lead you, you are a rebel. Yah says that you all have rebelled against me. All you husbands and all you fathers and all you women and all you wives and all you mothers and all you sons and all you daughters, all you tribes of Israel have rebelled against me, says Yahweh. So what is it that he needs to do in order to bring about this correction? Well, he told us He told us what it was. Your wickedness. That's what's going to correct you. Your backslidings. It's going to catch up with you. That's going to catch up with us. If you and I persist on rebelling against the Most High, he's telling you, I've already talked to you, already yasarred you, you wouldn't receive the musar. So guess what? Now it's time for you to experience your own wickedness. That's what's going to correct you. Your own wickedness will correct you. When you don't want it from the father, you don't want it from the husband, you don't want it from the leader, you don't want it from the one the Most High put in charge, now you're going to get it. Husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, daughters, sons, children, you're going to get it now. And I'm going to use the very things that you did to correct you. Yet concerning all these things, you say, I'm innocent. This is what the rebel says, the rebellious ones. I'm innocent. I'm as innocent as a baby on his mother's breast. I haven't done anything. You're the one with the problem. Surely he's no longer angry at me. Why? Because I'm innocent. Here I am passing sentence on you, because you say I have done nothing wrong. Yah says that I'm going to pass sentence on you because you said you ain't did nothing wrong. When you say that I haven't done anything wrong, you said lo katati. That kata right there is the sin. The thi is I. Okay? The lo katati. I have not done anything wrong. I have not sinned. Never have I sinned. I haven't sinned by following these other gods. I haven't done that. You're saying that I've done that. I haven't done that. Isn't that what he said? He said long ago, I broke your yoke. Okay? When I snapped your chains, you said I won't serve. But that's what you've been doing. You and I are serving other Elohims when we're not listening to what the Most High has said in his laws. So every time that you and I decide that we're not going to do what he says, going back to his law that he said, then you're following another Elohim. I know. That's impossible, Akika. That's impossible. You're saying that a daughter that doesn't listen to her father is worshiping another Elohim? Yes, I'm telling you that because she's rebelling against the Most High. Are you telling me that a man has made a vow and he hasn't kept it? He's serving an Elohim? Yes, because he thought he was dealing with another Elohim. He's not dealing with that one. He's dealing with the one who will destroy him. We serve other Elohims when we say that we're innocent. You're not serving Yah. You're not being transparent. You're not being clear. And you're not following his path. You don't want to be corrected. When you stop wanting to be corrected, there's nothing else to do except for you to experience the evil that you're going to get. And it's going to come back and it's going to hunt you and it's going to bite you in your behind. And you're going to wonder and you're going to cry and you're going to wonder, why did all this happen? Why did this all happen to me? Why did this happen in my job? Why did this happen in my life? Why am I faced with this? Because you wouldn't receive instruction. Why are my children this way? Because they wouldn't receive instruction. They didn't want to be exemplary. They didn't want to do that. They didn't want to be examples to the nation. They chose not to follow Yah. And as a result of that, you're going to experience the evil and the wickedness that you deserve. Because you're insistent on doing what you want to do. Because you believe that you haven't done nothing wrong. You see? All of us. Yah says, all have rebelled against me. All of you. Okay? Lacking none of us. All of us. But don't ever say the la katati. I haven't done no wrong. Our Torah for next week is going to be by Midbar, chapter number 33. It's called Masah. And it's really going to be talking about the journeys of the children of Israel. They're about to go into the land of Israel. They're going on their conquest. They're about to go to war. Okay, I mean, they had a little bit of a war. They began that with the Imri, king of Bashan and Og. They've already started their conquest. And now they're about to go into this land. And so they're working out all the final details. That's why sometimes the Torah might call for a double portion. But I've noticed that there's so much information in one aspect or one part of the Torah, like in Matot, it's only 3 chapters. So the theme and idea here is for us to learn about Masar and Yashar and Musar and Asar and Yasar. We learn 3 different words and we understand what they mean. We understand that what we say is binding to us. We're going to be held responsible for our words. The Most High says a vow means that you're willing to do some work. If you don't have the capacity to do it, don't open your mouth because Yah will destroy us. Okay. So your Torah for next week is by Midbar, chapter number 33. But I do want you to, and your Haftarah is Yirmiyahu, chapter number 2, all the way to chapter number 3, verse number 4. Okay, they go hand in hand. They're really good to go together. And then finally, I did want you to take out the time because we don't have enough time today. I thought I would have it, but I don't. So chapter number 42, this is what I want you to do today on Shabbat. You know, when you and your family read chapter number 42 of Yirmiyahu. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. I want you to read it for yourselves, and I want you to meditate upon what was spoken. So you can see that this had nothing to even do with our Torah portion, but when I read it, I said it did. It made a connection. It made a connection between everything that we're talking about today. And you can see this is the behavior of our people. This is what we do. So you need to read this today, and you need to meditate upon it. Okay, just only that chapter. All right. And so I say Shabbat Shalom to you. I'm going to stop.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yes, and I'm also going to